Some of the challenges that I've had to go through has really just been understanding what it is to interact with someone who's been a sexual assault survivor, not even in regards to a partner, but just in general. I haven't had anyone in my life before, or necessarily anyone who would be able to tell me that before I started dating my wife. So that was new for me to be able to go through somewhat of a change in how I thought about the assaults that were happening, or not necessarily the assaults, but how it was affecting the people that was happening to, and how in turn it affected them not only within the incident itself, but for the rest of their life, and making it more aware of, again, exactly what they were going through. When Tahada first told me her story about being sexually assaulted, I was very surprised, but I was also happy with the fact that she chose to trust me with that, knowing that I would be able to take that information to help her. Secondarily, it also allowed me to gain more insight, again, about sexual assault survivors and what they have to go through, as well as, again, what I need to be more aware of in order to make sure that her experiences daily don't, again, reflect or make her go back into that state that she was in during or after the assault. Some ways that I've been able to support ourselves through this, or again just gain more support, is by just talking to other people about it, making it more, or bringing it up more in a common conversation, instead of, again, hiding it away or only discussing it when it is a popular news item. Also, making myself more aware of, I guess, flashpoints where people are essentially living the rape culture and not necessarily being aware of it. So identifying it and trying to bring it up. I've learned a lot about myself through this, again, because these are all new experiences, and how I've been able to act upon them. I hope that it has been positive for my wife, because, again, I want to help her through this, and I think the only way to do that is by listening and trying my best to not necessarily understand everything, but to show her that I understand that she needs my support and my ability to listen, and to try to, again, give her that knowledge that I will always be here for her regardless of what happens.
I think I learned a lot about myself as well, because I think I was so reliant on somebody fixing it. It's the culture that we live in, where the man fixes something, and I had that in mind when finding a partner, and I thought that was his role. Even though I knew I had to take care of it internally, I had some internalized male role, female role beliefs. And so what I appreciated was that when I needed to talk to my husband, when I needed to talk to him, there were times when he just wasn't able to, because of work, because, just certain other factors in life. And because that was stated, I appreciate the fact that he needed to set boundaries, healthy boundaries for himself, to take care of himself, and I needed to strengthen myself and be able to, when I don't have him necessarily, when he doesn't have time to listen, which is okay, I have to find other outlets as well. And that made me a stronger person because I don't have to rely so heavily on him, but I know that I could.
This experience has, I think, again, also changed my worldview. With again the idea that the rape culture that's out there and is evident is now evident. I never necessarily noticed it before, or noticed it but didn't pay it heed. And now it's not only realizing that it's there, but realizing the negative effect that it has on not only current sexual assault victims, but also again enforcing that, not necessarily a stereotype, but enforcing the fact that this is okay and this is, you know, how society is supposed to be. We are supposed to have the males be males and the females be females, be submissive, males be active, males do the masculine identity, females must take the feminine identity, and with it again is the causation of this negativity and again almost hate. It's brought to my understanding that rape culture is real, and the only way to fight it is making people aware of it, and that these traditional, not necessarily traditional, but cultural norms of what masculinity and femininity are shouldn't be there, and still shouldn't be enforced in our movies and our current culture, because again, there's no voice to say this isn't how it's supposed to be. And we need that reasoning to be brought back in order to prevent the sexual assaults that are occurring. Or again, what's seeming now that is happening is more. But I don't even necessarily think that more is occurring, but more people are being made aware that this isn't supposed to happen. This isn't right, and I need to speak up about it. And I think that's the biggest change, is knowing that the only way to really stop this is by talking about it and by speaking up to everyone in order to eventually make that big societal change.
I think also was that with the possibility of changing rape culture, I also appreciated how my husband identified it, but talked about it in a neutral way, where in a conversation, if we were with a group of friends, for example, if I were to bring it up, I have a background of the actual trauma, and it comes with so much heavy weight that it's not as receptive to our friends. But when Nick comes into the picture and when he talks about it without that heaviness, it's more effective that way. So I feel like having the male perspective contribute to the dialogue helps a whole lot more, because there's a lot of anger inside of me. And that is what is needed to change the rape culture. We need the male voice to represent the female voice and neutralize instances of rape culture.
What surprised me the most about Tahada, my partner, is her resilience and her determination. Her resilience to continue to deal with the effects of the sexual assault, but to also be able to succeed and to conquer whatever obstacles are in front of her. Her determination to make sure that change is implemented, that others are made aware of what has happened to her, to try to prevent that from happening to them.
What surprised me about my husband is that he allowed me to take on the leadership role. Most often than not, in any situation when it comes to working in a team, doing events, speaking events, or at in my work, I'm usually not elected to be the leader of the team. But what has surprised me with this relationship is that he allowed me, not allowed me, but he respected my platform and let me lead the way as far as pointing out things of rape culture, um, explaining it to friends, especially on social media. Um, he didn't take that away from me, which acknowledged and validated my struggle and how I turned from being a victim to a survivor.
For those who are going to be entering in a relationship with a sexual assault survivor, my advice would be to do a lot of listening. Um, we don't judge. We don't give solutions, but we give support. And that is the key thing, again, is to just let them know that you're there for them and that you're not going to leave them and that you understand or are trying to understand as best as you can what they went through in that event. As well as, again, realizing that by telling you this, they are really trusting you and confiding in you something that's extremely personal and important to them. And with that, you should respect that for what it is. I never want to hear anyone now, essentially again, joke about rape. Before my relationship with Tahada, that was something that I did joke about. Because again, it is a joke in some forms. They have it in movies, they have it in comedic clubs. But what I didn't realize again was, regardless of it being a joke or even it being serious, it's bringing back painful memories. And these triggers is something, again, that I wasn't necessarily aware of. But we need to be, in order to, again, try to protect other people, to make sure that they're not necessarily aware that they're saying something that's wrong, but that they're aware that what they're saying is going to hurt someone internally, regardless of whatever their initial meaning is.
Some things that I just did not like hearing, and never was really from Nick, it was just over time, from the past 10 years was, oh, why don't you just forget about it? Just dismissive phrases like that, or let's just go out and get some ice cream, or let's do something else, and just silence me even more. That just made me so angry, and it made me distrust you as a friend, that I could not count on you. That's one of the biggest things that I guess in the beginning made or break the relationship. Some people at times we're really desperate to just let that release, for some kind of release. We just need to let it go, and vent out. And there were so many times where people just didn't want to hear it. It was too heavy for them, and because of that, it just made me roll in the ball corner of the room so many times.
I guess what I want people to know about being a partner with a survivor of sexual assault is, I think it again helped make our relationship initially stronger. In any relationship, you have ups and downs. You have things that you need to, get comfort with your partner for. And I think by early in our relationship, telling me about this and essentially again confiding in me, this was that test that would later be done later on in other relationships. And since we were able to get through it initially, I think our relationship was so much stronger in the beginning and has continued to be there. And so with that, small step, we've been able to, again, continue increasing our emotional bond by communicating about these issues that are important to us. And that ability to communicate, again, is something that is usually slowly gained in a normal relationship,
Yeah.
whereas we were able to somewhat get it a little faster.
We were open to talking about it. Nick was open to listening to me talk about it. I think there's another question. One more. Okay. The last question.
I love that Tejada is still fighting and that she hasn't given up. And despite everything, she's still reliving somewhat by explaining to everyone what she went through. And that's, again, usually the hardest thing for a survivor to do, is to relate what happened to them. And she does it all the time to not just one person, but to tons of people. And I think that means that she has so much courage to do that. And I think it's amazing and wonderful, and why I married her.
What I appreciate about my partner Nick is that from the get-go, or everybody knew that this event in my life is a part of me, but it's now a part of us, and it doesn't own me, doesn't own us. We are owning it. We're owning rape culture. We're speaking about it, and we're taking a hold of it, because my biggest fear is for our children to experience what I experienced. And so we, as a partnership, do everything that we can. Whenever there's an opportunity that presents itself, we talk about it with other people. And I appreciate how Nick has really been an active part, both silently and vocally, with rape culture as well. Alright, thanks.
I love you.
I love you too.